Slap me with molasses and call me Gollum. I did not know how this NBA in season tournament, which is gonna need a name, was gonna work. I didn't. I was skeptic as hell. I was over here talking a little bit of trash about it. Don't get me wrong, there's still things that I'm like can be approved on, but I was like, but I feel like yes and like yes that well duh it's the first year. Of course, there's stuff that can always be approved on when it's in the first iteration. It's basically the prototype, that kind of thing about it. Um, but I was like, I guess you didn't have to be hypercritical or negative about it. 'Cause I see some people be like, why did you know? But at the same time, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to ask about like how this going to be, what the purpose of it. We know what they're trying to do, but the whole point of trying to see like what is the purpose of what they're trying to do. And I think, to be honest, like it was just to generate talking fans being taking it out, like it being more serious. You being interested in stuff this time of year, which to me I thought it would be later just because I was like at the beginning I was like yeah for about like 2-3 weeks I was like people interested in basketball. It's new, it's coming out. I was like all your teams are have a chance to be good. I was like that's why you got a lot of young teams up at the top right now. It's not just because like yeah yes they might be good, and but also younger teams always sort of get out faster than the older team, and then the older teams in the long haul end up building up and weeding out some of the young teams. That's why you only got like 2 or 3 that stick. When a whole bunch of here, like you got like the Rockets and the Timberwolves and OKC and the Magic and the Pacers and stuff and the Kings and and the Pales and stuff like and a little bit of like changing the guard, but also they just I was like just like young people just able going to do that faster than older people. Duh. Um, and but I think it's been a perfect storm also with a lot of this in season stuff. One, the players took it a lot more serious than I thought they would, just because I'm like, what the hell is really the difference between this and a regular season game? I still don't really know. I was like, I feel like they really talked themselves into it more so than anything. And I'm like, competition. Like I get it, that it's like, yeah, but we playing Detroit today. I get it that you could say that, but I'm like, what's the difference between you play Detroit Thursday versus Tuesday, and it's like the end season tournament. That's it. It was like it's points. All right, okay, cool. But whatever it needs to be, it worked. So I think that worked. Two, I thought would be a problem. Would be that I'm like who are going to be the teams that's really going to be in these spots. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So we're going to get the team that we already think is going to be competing for the finals. And I'm like, that's not fun. I was like, that, basically, I'm like Denver, who's been injured, and that's why they haven't been there. Milwaukee, I was like, they're there. I was like, the Lakers, they're there, despite they're up and down. The Suns, who's also up and down, but they've been, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, but then you got like the Knicks in there, and it's like, okay, cool. All right. Then you got the Pels. They was able to get in there. The Rockets had a chance at it. Like you can't like you had a bunch of young teams in here that was playing, and I was like, and not just that, but now that you see that they were playing in an season tournament, that's also resulted in them being where they are in the standing. Yes, it's still early, but the fact that you have this many young teams in the standings right now, especially while all the older teams are either struggling or the concept of their team is new, like the Bucks and them trying to find their rhythm with like the Clippers trying to find their rhythm. So I think that's been good for the league that in this tournament stuff, the young teams that came out, because now you get to showcase them, especially if they don't make it, especially because we're not expecting them all to make the playoff. So that means you get to showcase them early on to sort of like let everybody get a taste. It's sort of like if you had this a couple years ago, the phenomenon of Jokic wouldn't be as much of a shocker it was last year I was like, if he would have been able to showcase him early on the last couple of years. Like, you should have been able to do that with Wemby and Chat and stuff, that you able to show them off. Like the Magic, where it's like these teams that know, like, people to watch the Sixers to see Wemby. I was like, don't get me wrong, I was like, okay, see that, yeah, they're the young team that everybody been sort of waiting for their development to hit. But I don't think they would have been shown. They wouldn't have been shown like Wemby. Same thing with the Magic with Banchero. But you got to see these dudes now because of the tournament and stuff like that. So they did a good job of highlighting the young people that may not make it to the playoff, but you get to see, like, okay, maybe these the next guys up. I was like, are these the young guys that's going to come in and replace all these older dudes? But if not, they're at least on the radar. I was like, it was all good signs from that. Also the storylines of everything too, because I was like, even though the Lakers basically make it into the quarterfinals, I was like, they've been up and down where they, where it's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they'll change it in the years to come, but I don't know if but I think it worked out this year than it might later on. But I was like, to me, it'd be better if they just made a solid month or whatever, just tournament games instead of Tuesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays tournament games and stuff like that, and then everything in between is a regular season game, because it really throws you off. But I think the better part of this is that the Lakers, who've been good in the tournament, outside of that, and I was like, they've been like here. The Clippers also during that time, garbage. I was like, Denver not having their people, still beating people's asses at time. Okay. So I think the storyline in between that has helped, where it's like, I was like, okay, cool, the 76ers out here with Maxey and stuff like that. It's almost like the in-between, and it's like almost like the in-between games also get to serve as, we're going to work some shit out. And then the tournament games is like, oh, okay, cool, we're going to implement some stuff like that. And that's what goes into taking it seriously kind of thing. But the storylines, I think, has helped them as well, too, just because even though it's not necessarily tournament per se, since it surrounds it, it's kind of like, man, the Lakers just got beat by 30-something point. Hopefully they're able to pick up for the tournament game tonight, and then they'll win the tournament game, Yeah, no, so I think for the first year of it, and we still got the quarterfinal, finals, all that other stuff. But I think for right now, it has been able to work. The courts are sort of okay. Some of them I like with the color scheme and stuff like that. Some of them is like, okay, the colors are okay, but the logo dumb, or they didn't do the theme right. Like, to me, I'm like, yo, I was like, you should, like the Raptors, make that bitch Jurassic Park up in there. Seemed very simple. I was like, maybe for that, bring out like maybe retro stuff for the courts, or some of that ain't got stuff that might be boring, or the color scheme is like, it's like too much with the secondary colors. I was like, they don't match it up very well, and stuff like that. The heat color stuff, I was like, that was garbage on the floor to me. Yeah, stuff like that they can prove them, but I feel like those are minor nit-nat paddywhacks. The main thing was fan interest and the players' interest, and you succeeded on both of those at this time of year, and going into basically leading up to the beginning of when people can start trading too. So therefore, like with this tournament, since it was semi, a look at how finals might, playoffs are, you get a better sense of what your team is now than when it used to be like, oh, okay, cool, we just gonna play like 25 games and we're gonna see how everything is. Now we done had like 25 or so games, but I was like 15 of them have been like competitive games. So now I get to see how my people are, how what kind of adjustments I got to do, how they play. So now, when the trade deadline comes up, or whatever, so like the 15th, when everybody can be traded, like, you know, there used to be like, they're not really like no trade that early on. It's really close to that we get to the deadline. Now, I mean, I think it's still gonna be dry for like the, you know, that first beginning portion, but I do think that it will ramp up a bit more now, just because like my team's not going anywhere this already. Like the Pistons, they 2-15. Them mugs ain't going nowhere. I mean, they ain't going nowhere. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, no. In season tournament, I'll eat crow, I guess, or whatever you want to say. Give him proper do. I feel like it worked. Anyway, that's just my thoughts of the in season thing. I was like, come more in depth of like players and teams a little bit later, you know, season comes on. But anyway, that's it for right now. Tell me what you think if you like the video. If not, hey, maybe next time. But till then, we'll see when we talk about more NBA.